Someone weaker than you is winning right now. Not because they are smarter, not because they work harder, not because they deserve it more. They are winning because they move like they cannot be stopped. They speak like they cannot be questioned. They exist like the world owes them space. And you hesitate, you calculate, you wait for the perfect moment that never arrives. You rehearse conversations in your head and still stumble through them. You enter rooms hoping not to be noticed instead of demanding to be remembered. And every single day someone with half your ability walks past you and takes what should have been yours. This is not bad luck. This is a disease. And the disease has a name. It is called the hesitation virus. It lives in your throat when you want to speak, but stay silent. It lives in your chest when you want to act but choose safety. It lives in your spine when you want to stand tall but collapse into comfort. Miyamoto Musashi understood this over 400 years ago. He was the greatest samurai who ever lived. 61 duels, 61 victories. He never lost, not once, not ever. He killed his first opponent at 13 years old. By the time he died, he had mastered the sword, the brush, and the soul, and he left behind a book called the Book of 5 Rings, a manual for warriors, a blueprint for dominance, a death sentence for weakness. Musashi wrote that the way of the warrior is the resolute acceptance of death. He did not mean physical death, he meant the death of the man you used to be, the hesitant man, the apologetic man, the man who waits to be chosen instead of choosing himself. This video is not motivation. Motivation fades by tomorrow. This is reconstruction. By the time you finish watching, you will not be the same person who pressed play. Something inside you will die, and something far more dangerous will take its place. But I must warn you. Once you see what I am about to show you, there is no going back. You cannot unsee the mechanics of power. You cannot unfeel the weight of your own potential. You will either transform, or you will spend the rest of your life knowing exactly what you refuse to become. The choice is yours. But hesitation is no longer an option. Part 1. The death of the hesitant man. You were not born weak. Weakness was installed, line by line, year by year, every time you were told to wait your turn, every time you were told not to brag, every time you were told that confidence is arrogance and arrogance is sin. They programmed you to shrink, to ask permission, to put yourself last and call it virtue. But it is not virtue, it is surrender. And the people who taught you to surrender did so because your smallness made them comfortable, your hesitation made them safe, your weakness made them feel less threatened by their own. Musashi wrote that you must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain, but every path requires the same first step, killing the version of yourself that is afraid to climb. Inside you right now there is a man who flinches, a man who apologizes before he speaks, a man who enters rooms scanning for approval instead of scanning for opportunity. This man has been running your life. He has been making your decisions. He has been accepting less than you deserve because less felt safer than the risk of rejection. This man must die, not tomorrow, not gradually, now, in this moment. You must look at him clearly and understand that he is not protecting you. He is imprisoning you. Every time he tells you to stay quiet, he is stealing your future. Every time he tells you to play small, he is handing your power to someone else. Every time he tells you to wait, he is guaranteeing that you will still be waiting 10 years from now, wondering what happened to your life. Musashi did not hesitate. When he faced an opponent, he did not wait to see what they would do. He moved first. He struck first. He decided the terms of every encounter before the other man could think, and that is why he never lost. You must become the same, not violent, but decisive, not aggressive, but ungovernable. The hesitant man waits for certainty before he acts. The warrior understands that certainty comes from action, not before it. So here is your first command. Stop asking for permission. From anyone. For anything. You do not need approval to speak. You do not need validation to act. You do not need consensus to decide. The man who waits for permission has already announced that someone else is in charge of his life. And if someone else is in charge, then you are not a man. You are a tool. Musashi said that the warrior's way is to master many things, but the first thing you must master is yourself, and mastery begins with execution, not planning, not preparing, not thinking about thinking, execution. Kill the hesitant man, let him bleed out on the floor of your old life, and step over his body into the version of yourself that has been waiting in the shadows, the version that does not ask, the version that does not wait, the version that moves through the world like he has already won. Part 2. The ART of presence there is a moment before you speak, before you act, before anyone knows your name. In that moment you have already been judged, not by your words, not by your credentials, by the way you exist in space, by the weight of your presence, by the silence that surrounds you. Most men have no presence. They enter rooms like apologies. They sit like they are borrowing the chair. They stand like they are waiting to be told where to go. Their bodies broadcast uncertainty, and the world responds by ignoring them. Musashi understood that the battle is won before the sword is drawn. He would face opponents who were already defeated the moment they saw him. Not because of his reputation, because of his stillness, his calm, the absolute certainty radiating from his posture. They knew before the first strike that they were going to die, and knowing made it true. Presence is not performance. It is not puffing your chest or making noise. Presence is the absence of need, the absence of desperation, the absence of the frantic energy that screams, "I need you to like me." When you need nothing from the room begins to need something from you. So how do you build presence? You start with your body. Slow down. Every movement you make should look intentional. When you turn your head, turn it slowly. When you walk, walk like you have already arrived. When you sit, take up space. Not aggressively, naturally, like a man who has never questioned whether he belongs. Musashi moved like water, not rushed, not hesitant, fluid, inevitable. He did not react to his opponents, he made them react to him, and that is the secret. The man with presence does not chase energy, he creates gravity. People orbit around him because his stillness makes their chaos feel unstable. Now master your eyes. The hesitant man breaks eye contact first. He looks away when challenged. He glances around searching for safety. But the warrior holds the gaze. Not with aggression, with assessment, like he is deciding whether you are worth his attention. That single habit will change how people treat you faster than any words you could say. Most people are uncomfortable with eye contact because they are uncomfortable with themselves. They are afraid of what the other person might see. But when you have killed the hesitant man, there is nothing left to hide. You can hold the gaze forever because you are not performing. You are simply present. And finally, master the pause. When someone asks you a question, do not rush to answer. Pause. Let the silence stretch for 1 second, 2 seconds. The hesitant man fills silence because silence makes him nervous. The warrior lets silence work for him. In that pause, you signal that you are considering, calculating, deciding, and the person waiting for your answer begins to feel like they are being evaluated rather than the other way around. Musashi wrote that perception is strong and sight is weak. Most people see only what is in front of them, but the man with presence is felt. He is sensed. He changes the room without saying anything, and by the time he speaks, everyone is already listening. This is not something you are born with. This is something you build through repetition, through practice, through the constant killing of every instinct that tells you to shrink. You walk into rooms not hoping to be accepted, but curious whether anyone there is worth your time. You sit not waiting to be noticed, but observing who notices you. You exist not as a guest, but as a force. Do this long enough and you will not need to demand respect. Respect will simply follow you like a shadow follows the body. Because presence is not about domination. It is about inevitability. People will sense that you are going somewhere, and they will want to be near you when you arrive. Part 3. The blade of speech. Words are weapons, and most men carry rubber swords. They speak to fill space. They speak to be liked. They speak because silence makes them uncomfortable, and every word they say dilutes their power. Musashi wrote that in strategy, your grip on the sword should not be too tight or too loose. The same is true for speech. Too many words and you become noise. Too few and you become invisible. The warrior speaks exactly as much as necessary and not one syllable more. Listen to how weak men talk. They hedge, they qualify, they soften. I think maybe, I could be wrong, but I was just wondering if every sentence is wrapped in apology. Every statement is an escape hatch. They are so afraid of being challenged that they pre-surrender in every conversation. Now listen to how powerful men talk. They declare, they conclude, they state, this is what I see, this is what I want, this is what will happen. There is no hedging, there is no softening, there is only certainty delivered calmly. The difference is not volume. Shouting is weakness dressed as strength. The difference is finality. When you speak like your words are conclusions, not suggestions, people stop debating and start adjusting. They do not ask whether you are right, they assume you must be. So here is the rule. Eliminate softness from your speech. No more filler words, no more verbal retreats. When you have something to say it clean and you let it stand. If someone disagrees, you do not explain. You do not defend. You say, I see it differently, and you move on. Because defending yourself signals that your position is negotiable. And a negotiable man is a controllable man. Musashi said that you should not have any favorite weapon. A warrior must be adaptable. But in speech, there is one weapon you must master above all others: the pause. When someone attacks you verbally, they expect reaction, they expect emotion, they expect you to rush into defense. Instead, you pause, you look at them, you let the silence stretch, and then you respond slowly, deliberately, like their attack was so unimportant it barely registered. This destroys people, not because you insulted them, because you refuse to treat them as a threat. And the man who is not treated as a threat begins to feel irrelevant, which is far worse than being defeated. Never speak to be understood, speak to be remembered. Every word should land like a stone in still water. Ripples that travel outward long after the sound has stopped. You do not need many words for this. Some of the most powerful sentences in history were short. I came, I saw, I conquered. 7 words. Empires trembled. And here is the deepest truth. The voice itself is a weapon, not the words. The voice, pitch it lower, slow it down. Remove the nervous energy that makes most men sound like they are asking permission to exist. When your voice is calm and deep and unhurried, people do not just hear you, they feel you. And feeling creates obedience faster than logic ever will. Musashi spent years in silence, meditating, training, watching. And when he finally spoke, his words carried the weight of all that silence. You do not need years, but you need to understand that every word you do not say makes the words you do say more powerful. Scarcity creates value, in economics, in relationships, and in speech. From this point forward, speak like a blade. Clean, sharp, final, cut through the noise, cut through the hesitation, cut through the endless explanations that weak men use to avoid commitment. Say what you mean what you say, and let the room deal with the silence that follows. Part 4. The unshakable mind. You can master presence. You can master speech, you can look like a warrior and sound like a king. But if someone can move you emotionally, you are still a slave, a well-dressed slave, an articulate slave, but a slave nonetheless. Musashi faced death 61 times, 61 men who wanted to kill him, and he never flinched, not because he was unafraid, because he had made a decision before every duel. He had already accepted that he might die, and once you accept death, nothing can shake you. You do not need to face swords, but you face something equally dangerous every day: other people's opinions, other people's judgments, other people's approval and rejection. These are the weapons used against you, and if they can still wound you, then you have not yet become dangerous. The unshakable mind is not emotionless. Musashi felt everything: fear, anger, doubt. But he did not obey those feelings. He observed them, he used them, he converted them into fuel rather than letting them become chains. Here is the transformation. You stop needing to be understood. That need is the root of almost all weakness, the desperate desire to explain yourself, to be seen correctly, to be validated. It makes you controllable. Tell a needy man that he is wrong, and he will spend hours defending himself. Tell an unshakable man that he is wrong, and he will look at you, pause, and say perhaps, then walk away. He does not need you to agree. He has already agreed with himself, and that is the only agreement that matters. You stop fearing rejection. Rejection is information, nothing more. Someone said no to you. Good. Now you know where they stand. Now you know not to waste another second seeking their approval. The unshakable mind does not chase people who walk away. It lets them go and build something so undeniable that they will one day have to explain why they left. And you stop reacting. This is the hardest discipline. Someone insults you. Every instinct screams, respond, defend, attack. But the warrior pauses. He breathes. He asks himself one question: does reacting serve my outcome? Usually it does not. Usually reaction is just ego begging to be soothed, and ego is expensive. Every time you obey it, you pay with power. Musashi wrote that you must remain calm in battle. Calm is not the absence of intensity, it is the mastery of it. You can feel rage and still act strategically. You can feel fear and still move forward. The feeling is not the problem. Obeying the feeling is the problem. So here is your practice. The next time someone tries to provoke you, do nothing. Let them see absolutely no change in your face, no change in your posture, no change in your breathing. This will disturb them far more than any response, because when someone attacks and nothing happens, they begin to question their own power. And the moment they question themselves, you have already won. Become the man who cannot be moved. Not through arrogance, through anchoring. You are anchored to your own standards, your own values, your own vision, and nothing anyone says or does can pull you off that anchor. They can scream, they can insult, they can praise, they can ignore. None of it registers, because you are not looking outward for stability. You carry it inside you. This is what Musashi meant when he said that the ultimate aim of martial arts is not having to use them. When you become truly unshakable, you will not need to fight. People will sense that fighting you is pointless, that provoking you is futile, that the only way to deal with you is respect, and respect will come not because you demanded it, but because you made every other option exhausting. Part 5. Turning wounds into weapons. Every warrior has scars. Musashi was wounded in battle multiple times. He faced humiliation in his early years. He was underestimated, mocked, dismissed, and he used every single wound as fuel for his transformation. You have been rejected, you have been betrayed, you have been ignored by people who should have seen your value, and you have two choices. You can let those wounds become chains, or you can let them become blades. Most men are destroyed by rejection. They internalize it, they replay it, they let one person's no become the verdict of the universe. But the warrior mind sees rejection differently. Rejection is not a judgment of your worth. It is a judgment of their perception. And perception can be wrong. When someone rejects you, they are telling you something valuable. They are telling you that in their current state they cannot see what you offer. Good, now you know. Now you can stop wasting energy on people who are blind and redirect it toward building something so visible that even the blind will feel its heat. Musashi was rejected by the official schools of swordsmanship. They considered his style unorthodox, improper. He did not beg for acceptance. He went out and defeated every champion they produced, and suddenly his unorthodox style became legendary. He did not change to fit their standards. He made his results so undeniable that they had to change their standards to fit him. This is the path. You do not heal from rejection by being accepted later. You heal from rejection by becoming so powerful that the rejection becomes irrelevant. You do not need closure from the people who dismissed you. Your success is the closure. Your transformation is the revenge. Not because you are trying to prove them wrong, because you have moved so far beyond their opinion that proving anything to them would be a waste of your time. And here is the weapon hidden in every wound. Pain clarifies, comfort confuses. When everything is easy, you do not know what you are capable of. When everything is hard, you discover exactly who you are. Every rejection strips away another illusion. Every failure burns away another weakness, until what remains is pure, undiluted, unbreakable. Musashi wrote that you must think of what is right and true. After rejection, most men think about what is unfair, what was taken from them, what they deserved but did not receive. This thinking is poison. It keeps you anchored to the past. The warrior thinks only about what to do next. What is the right action? What is the true path? Everything else is noise. So, here is your practice. Take your deepest wound, the rejection that still stings, the betrayal that still burns, and ask yourself one question. What did this teach me that comfort never could have? Find the lesson, extract the power, and then let the wound close. Not because you forgot, because you graduated. You no longer need the pain to motivate you. You have absorbed its lesson and moved on. From this point forward, nothing that happens to you is purely negative. Everything is material, everything is training. The people who hurt you were your teachers. The situations that broke you were your forges. And the man who emerges from that fire is not the man who entered. He is sharper, harder, more dangerous. Part 6. The Rebirth. You are not the same person who started this video. Something has shifted. You can feel it in your chest, in your spine, in the way you are already sitting differently as you read these words. The hesitant man is dying. Maybe he is not dead yet, but he is bleeding, and every concept you have absorbed is another wound he cannot survive. By the time this video ends, he will be gone, and you will be what remains. Musashi spent the final years of his life in a cave, alone, writing, reflecting. He had nothing left to prove to the world. He had defeated every opponent, mastered every weapon, become a legend in his own time. But he understood that the final battle is always internal. The final enemy is always the self. You have been given a map, presence, speech, mind, wounds. These are the 4 territories you must conquer. Not once, every day. Because the hesitant man does not die easily. He will try to return, in moments of stress, in moments of doubt, in moments when the old patterns feel safer than the new power. When he returns, you kill him again, and again, and again, until killing him becomes reflex, until confidence becomes default, until the man you are becoming is so deeply rooted that the man you used to be cannot even find the door. Musashi's final words were simple. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Do not depend on others. Do not regret what you have done. This is the code of the warrior. Pleasure is distraction. Dependency is weakness. Regret is poison. Cut all three from your life, and what remains is pure forward motion. You are here to stand out so sharply that fitting in becomes impossible. You are not here to wait for permission. You are here to become the one who grants it. This is your rebirth, not into arrogance, into alignment. You are aligning your external presence with your internal power. You are aligning your speech with your certainty. You are aligning your emotions with your objectives. And when all of these are aligned, you become something rare, something dangerous, something that cannot be ignored and cannot be stopped. Musashi never lost because he never fought as the man he used to be. He entered every duel as the man he had become, the man who had already accepted death, the man who had already decided to win, the man who moved first because waiting was never an option. You must do the same, not in duels, in life, in every room you enter, every conversation you have, every decision you make. You move first, you speak first, you decide first, and you never again wait for someone else to tell you when it is your turn. The world is full of hesitant men waiting for permission. They will grow old waiting. They will die waiting. But not you. Not anymore. You have been rebuilt. Now go prove it. Subscribe if you are ready to become the man they cannot ignore, the man they cannot control, the man they cannot forget. Because this is not self-improvement. This is war, and you just became the weapon.